Hello, Virginia. It is great to be in Radford. Wow. I love you guys too. I grew up in a place a lot like this one called Middletown, Ohio. And that's where I learned the values of loyalty, family, duty, and honor. And that's where I decided to enlist in the United States Marine Corps when I graduated from high school in 2003. Now, it's also where I learned that if you grew up poor, come from a chaotic family, and get D's and F's in English, you can still, by the grace of God, write a best-selling book and become the nominee to be your next Vice President of the United States of America. Now, my friends, I want to say I make a simple pledge. President Trump and I make a simple pledge that we will pour out every last drop of sweat, we will work our tails off, and we will make America great again, and we're going to do it together. Now, we got to talk about the news of the day here, right? I was swimming with my kids yesterday, and my wife told me that Joe Biden had decided to withdraw from the presidential race. Now, see, you guys are excited about that. I don't know. I was looking forward to debating Kamala Harris, actually. So to the Democrats who are watching, please find some way to make Kamala vice president. I was promised a debate with Kamala Harris, and that's what I plan to get. Now, history will remember Joe Biden as not just a quitter, which he is, but one of the worst presidents in the United States of America. But my friends, Kamala Harris is 1,000,000 times worse, and everybody knows it. She signed up for every single one of Joe Biden's failures, and she lied about his mental capacity to serve as president. Our country has been saddled for 3.5 years with a president who cannot do the job. And that is all because Kamala Harris and the rest of the Democrats lied about his ability to be our president. I think we ought to kick them all out come November and replace them with some people who care about this country. Now, remember this. Let's talk about some of those substantive failures. Kamala Harris is America's border czar. And how's our border doing, ladies and gentlemen? She hasn't talked to the chief of Border Patrol a single time in her entire tenure as border czar. Remember, on her very first day in office, she and Biden suspended deportations, they stopped construction of the border wall, and they re-implemented catch and release. The border crisis is a Kamala Harris crisis. Let's not let her ever forget. Let's never stop reminding her of that fact, and let's never stop reminding people the fact that when President Trump was president, we had a secure border and we put our citizens first. Now, it doesn't stop there. Harris is actually even more extreme than Biden, even though that's hard to believe. She wants to totally decriminalize illegal immigration. Well, Kamala, if you stop making it a crime to come into this country illegally, you're just going to invite more and more illegal aliens, and we know that communities like Radford and Middletown, we're the ones who suffer the consequences. Now, I know this area has been affected by a lot of stupid trade deals, a lot of deals that have shipped good American manufacturing jobs overseas. Well, Biden supported NAFTA back in 1994, but Kamala Harris voted to keep NAFTA again and again, even after it was obvious that it was a disaster for our people. I agree. She voted to eliminate the filibuster and pass the Green New scam, destroying energy jobs in Virginia and Pennsylvania and driving up the cost of goods. That's why we've got an affordability crisis in this country, my friends, because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they'd rather buy oil and gas from tin-pot dictators all over the world. I say they should buy it right here from American workers and from Americans who are... It's simple. Drill, baby, drill. It's not that complicated. We've got it right here. Our own workers want to get it out of the ground. Why don't we just let them? It'll make our country stronger. We all know that's the case. You know, it gets even worse. She supported abolishing ICE and wanted to defund the police. Even Joe Biden never went so far as to say he wanted to defund the police. Now, of course, he supported all these policies because him or somebody else, we don't know who's been in charge of this country the last 3.5 years, but Joe Biden supported it every step of the way, or at least the person who's actually running the show. She wants to ban fracking. She said that. You can go and look it up. She said that she wanted to ban fracking. That is going to destroy hundreds of thousands of energy jobs all across our country. It's going to empower the very worst and the very most dangerous regimes in the world. This is crazy. There is simply no way that you can sit here and say the policies of Joe Biden have worked, which is to say that we got to kick Kamala Harris out of the Oval Office. Don't give her a chance. Don't give her a chance to run away from the Biden record. The Biden record is the Kamala Harris record, and given what we know about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris probably did a lot more than Joe Biden does over the last 3.5 years. And while we're on the subject of Joe Biden, can anybody just admit that if Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he ain't fit to serve as president of the United States either? And if Kamala Harris is too blind or too corrupt to admit to the American people that Joe Biden should have never been in there, she's not fit to serve either. We're gonna get them both out of there. We're gonna get President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. They both have to go. It's that simple. It really is. Now look, the thing is, I am a member of a community that has been affected by all these terrible policies. I grew up in a working class family. I grew up in a family where kids said, other people said, that kid's not gonna turn out to be anything. I remember when I didn't have any hope for my future, I didn't have any hope for my community, I thought that chaos and instability was gonna be the narrative of my life, that there was no future. And now I'm running. Now I'm running as Donald J. Trump's vice president. It turned out pretty well for me. Now, here's the crazy thing. Speaking of President Trump, and by the way, I'll tell you a story. On Monday morning, when President Trump, I guess it was Monday afternoon, early afternoon, President Trump called to offer me the job as his vice presidential running mate, and I didn't answer the phone. Now, it went straight to voicemail or something. I never heard it ring. I was staring at my phone hoping that he would call me, but of course I called him back and we had a nice conversation. You know, talk a lot about this. He put my son on the phone. He talked to my little 7-year-old boy. It was great. But the first thing he said actually when I called him back is he said, you know, JD, you just missed a very important phone call. And maybe I should offer it to somebody else. Now, he was messing with me, of course, because here I stand. And I'll tell you something else about President Trump, and I want to get to the fact that the media lies about him. And so many people don't realize the real President Trump. And here's the real President Trump. President Trump called me right before my RNC convention speech on Wednesday. It was a great time, and didn't my wife do such a good job? I was so proud of her for introducing me. But he called me and he said, JD, you're gonna do a great job. It was just a nice pep talk. He said, don't worry about anything, you're gonna do great. And then I said, sir, I agree with you. I think I am gonna do a good job, but it's too late now, no takebacks. We've already gotten here. And the crazy thing is the media says that that guy is mean-spirited. They say that he is a threat to democracy. But first of all, we all saw the President Trump the media doesn't want you to see when he took an assassin's bullet, stood up a minute later, raised his fist in the air and said, fight, fight, fight. That's the President Trump I know, the guy who stood in defiance of an assassin's bullet and then just a few moments later called for national calm and unity. And they say that he's mean-spirited. That's not the Donald Trump I know. That's not the Donald Trump that any of us in this room know. They also say that he's a threat to democracy, but if I recall, Donald Trump won the Republican primary in 2016, won the election, and won another Republican primary just a few months ago. Democrats are the ones who want to throw out 14 million ballots and not elect Kamala Harris, but select Kamala Harris. With a bunch of billionaires and Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi making the decision instead of Democrat voters, it's disgraceful, and that's the threat to American democracy. That corruption and that broken process. Now, I'm obviously not a Democrat primary voter, and I imagine none of you are either. But if you are, welcome. Republican Party's happy to have you. But if you are a Democrat primary voter, they don't give a damn about you because they don't give a damn who you voted for. If you are a Democrat and you look at this corrupt process, I invite you to the Republican Party. We want to make America great again. We believe in elections. We believe in persuading voters, not lying to them for 3.5 years and then doing a switcheroo. It really doesn't matter who we run against, let's be honest, because every Democrat in leadership has supported these broken policies, and every last Democrat in leadership lied about Joe Biden's fitness for the office, about his mental competency, about whether he could basically function and do the job. And aside from that, every last Democrat contender wants open borders, more legal immigration. They want more trade giveaways, and they supported them from the very beginning. They want more endless wars and more criminals on the streets. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a crappy platform, whoever they put as the figurehead of the Democratic Party. Now, I want to say something about our likely opponent, Kamala Harris, because you know, she said a couple of days ago that I showed no loyalty to the United States, that I have no loyalty to the United States. Well, you know, I don't know Kamala. I served in the United States Marine Corps and I built a business. What the hell have you done other than collect a government check for the past 20 years? But I want to say, my friends, whether it's Kamala Harris or anybody else, it's the same Democrat machine. It's the same lies and corruption. It is the same broken promises, inflation crisis, border crisis. We don't need any of it. We need President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. Now, before we keep going, I want to take a moment to thank some of the outstanding Republican leaders that we have with us today, Republicans who I think are going to turn Virginia red in the coming decade, and we're so grateful to have them. You guys, of course, have a great governor in Glenn Youngkin. I understand he's working. He's working on behalf of the state, couldn't join us today, but we do have Attorney General Jason Miyares. Thank you so much for being here, Jason. Thanks for your great service. We've got Congressman Morgan Griffith. Where's Morgan at? There you are, Morgan. Thank you, man. Now we've got former Congressman Virgil Good and Bob Goodlad. There they are right here. Great. Thank you, guys. A guy I've gotten to know a little bit, an incredibly special veteran of our armed forces, a true patriot, and the next senator from the state of Virginia, Hung Cao. Thank you, Hung. Now, these are great candidates, and of course, we're joined by members of the General Assembly and state and local officials who are doing fantastic work on behalf of this Commonwealth. And like I said, they're going to help turn Virginia red. Now, for those of you who don't know me, let me just give you a little bit of background on where I come from and who I am. I'm a former Marine. Hoorah. Semper Fi. I graduated from The Ohio State University and Yale Law School. I started a business to create jobs in places like the one that I grew up in, places that have been left behind by Washington's leadership, but still have a lot of grit, a lot of determination, and a lot of opportunity if we could stop screwing up in Washington, D.C. Now, I was raised by my working class grandmother. I called her Mamaw. Do we have any other Mamaws in the room right now? We're in Appalachia, right? We got a lot of Mamaws. I just want to say to all of you, thank you for everything that you do, especially those who are raising the Mamaws and Papaws, the grandparents, the aunts and the uncles that are raising kids they didn't expect to raise. Because of this terrible opioid problem, trust me, it's appreciated. We love you and we're grateful to you. God bless you. Now, my mamaw raised me because my mom struggled with addiction, opioid addiction, for a big chunk of my early life. Now, mamaw was a tough old bird. She was a very devout Christian and a very thoughtful Christian, but she also loved the F word. She was a woman of contradiction. She could make a sailor blush, I'm not kidding you. She was my guardian angel in so many ways, and thanks to her, I had a chance to live the American dream. And if there's anything that President Trump's leadership is about, it is about ensuring that your kids have access to the American dream, that your kids have access to the incredible opportunity of this country. Now, for years, Washington insiders in both parties have sold out places like Middletown, Ohio, like Radford, Virginia. Both parties shipped millions of good manufacturing jobs overseas. They decided that we didn't need to make anything in America again. And now we're way too dependent on the communist Chinese to make the critical things that we need, from our weapons of war to the drugs that we put into the bodies of our children. You know, 95% of the ibuprofen in this country is manufactured in China. Guess where the majority of the antibiotics that we put into the bodies of our children are made? In China. That was a decision, ladies and gentlemen, by broken leadership that decided we didn't need to make anything in this country again. President Trump has a different vision. Let's make more things in America. Let's make our own country self-reliant, and let's do it with American workers making good wages. Isn't that simple? Now, the left calls President Trump and his supporters radicals. But what's radical about thinking that we should make more of our own products in Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania? There's nothing radical about that. It's common sense. And under President Trump's leadership, my friends, we're going to change some things around, and you're going to see more and more products stamped with that beautiful logo, made in the USA. It's time. Now, there's nothing radical about having a national security that is strong and smart. Who is sick of us sending America's sons and daughters off to foreign lands they have no business in? We got to focus on our own problems right here at home. And sometimes we do have to go to war. Our national security depends on it. But as President Trump showed when he took out ISIS, when we punch hard, and we punch to win. There's nothing radical about telling the drug cartels and the violent gangs, America is closed for business. We don't want you in our country. You got to go back. Obey the law and go back. We're going to secure that border under President Trump's leadership. We're going to stop the poison fentanyl that's coming into our country, and we're going to make America safe for Americans again, not the drug cartels and the criminals. Now, I mentioned that my own mom struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my life. And I stand here and I'm very proud to say, and I don't know if you saw this at the RNC convention, but she had a really lovely moment. But Mom has been clean and sober for almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in January. Thank you. But I gotta be honest with you, if the same poison that's coming across the border now was coming across the border 20 years ago, I don't know that I would have gotten a second chance with my mother. And there are a lot of families all across this country who are not getting second chances with their loved ones because the cartels are bringing poison across this country at a level we have never seen. We have got to shut that border down, make America safe again. It's common sense, it's not radical, and we're going to do it under President Donald Trump's leadership. Now, I don't know if any of you watched the RNC convention, did you? Went pretty well, right? But, you know, something happened. There was a speaker at the RNC convention. She spoke about her 15-year-old son who had taken one pill under peer pressure, and it happened to be laced with fentanyl, and it took its life. Isn't that so sad? A handsome, gorgeous little boy, one mistake, and now his mother will mourn him for the rest of her life. That is the fruit of Joe Biden's open border, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of allowing this stuff into our country. I heard people say after this woman gave her speech, really disgraceful, disgusting people say, well, maybe he shouldn't have taken that pill to begin with. And I've got 3 little kids myself. I've got a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and we all know kids make mistakes. I want to grow up in a country, I want them to grow up in a country where a simple, childly mistake doesn't cost our kids their lives. I want to grow up, and I want my children to grow up in a country where they can work a good job, whether they went to college or didn't go to college. They can work in a manufacturing economy where we make things with our own hands and we do it with American workers. I want my children to grow up in a world where they go to school and they learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, not indoctrination from crazy progressives who want to talk about sex in the classroom instead of education. I want my kids to grow up in a country where the police are respected and they're empowered to keep our children safe and secure in their own neighborhoods. I want my children to grow up in a country where the leaders of this country put their citizens first. And I want my children to grow up in that country, and the only way it's going to happen if we make better decisions in Washington, D.C. We have got to send Donald J. Trump back to the White House to do all these things and so much more. My friends, I am so grateful to be here with you today. I'm grateful to stand on this stage. I'm grateful for the incredible opportunities that this country has afforded me, and I am grateful to be President Donald J. Trump's running mate. We've got an incredible opportunity here. We've got an opportunity to win races up and down the ballot. We have the opportunity to reestablish American energy dominance, restore American manufacturing, defeat this crazy inflation, and kick the drug cartels the hell out of our country. So to everybody listening, certainly to Radford, Virginia, but all across this Commonwealth and forgotten communities in Virginia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, I make this very simple promise to you. I will fight, President Trump will fight, we will fight every single day to restore an America that works for you, for your children, and for your grandchildren. We'll fight to bring down the cost of groceries and housing. Isn't it a shame that our young people can't afford to buy a home in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's economy? We'll fight to bring down the cost of energy. We'll fight to close the border. We'll fight to get this fentanyl out of our communities. We will do all of these things, but the only way to do it is to re-elect President Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Let's get to work, my friends. Let's do it together. I know that we can. Thank you all. God bless you, and God bless America.